Let's see. How should I start this off? That's if TikTok even let people know that comments off so they might not tell them. It usually says, I might have to turn comments back on for that. Oh, no. What if I could turn comments off mid-live? I could start with that, or there's already somebody in here. My computer's gonna join. She's probably got the comments turned on. That's probably why. You know what? I don't think it's updated. Let me see. Okay. All right. Well, I'll just get it right on there to it. There's so much to talk about, though. I don't want to dive on into it. So much to talk about. Basically, a lot of people don't even know that the term Christ is actually a title. Yeshua, also known as Jesus, translated in English. His name wasn't Jesus Christ back when he was going around doing his, ministry around Israel. His name was actually Yeshua ben Yosef, and Yeshua didn't start going by the name Christ until after an anointment. And see, the thing about how the Bible tells about the New Testament is very literal as well as metaphysical. There's a lot of, that's the thing about when people try to interpret the Bible. You have to understand religious texts and anything to do with spirituality. You have to be understanding it from a spiritual point of view. That's why I never really understood how people could try to separate spirituality and religion, because you can't understand religion without spirituality. If you coming from a person that doesn't believe in spirituality or any types of things, you'll never understand the Bible. You'll never understand any religion. It won't even hit home with you because you don't understand your own spirit. You can't get religion without spirit. You can't get spirit without religion. And well, you can't get spirit without religion, really, but religion just is a perception of it. But people have to understand that you have to be accepting of spirituality to understand these stories, which are true in a literal meaning and as well as metaphysical meaning. Say, for example, the Son of God thing, being a son of God. It has to tie in to do with the Holy Trinity, right? The Father, the Son, the Spirit. The Father being God, the Son being you, the Spirit being God within you. When you understand the Holy Trinity of the Spirit being within you, you become anointed. You have this awakening. And then see the thing is why I say it's omnipotent, omnipresent, is because this isn't just bound to Christianity, this anointment. It's called Christos oil. It resides at the base of the spine. And as it rises, as the Hindus call it, the Kundalini energy, as this energy rises throughout the spine, the 33 vertebrae, once it hits all the 33 vertebrae, it gets to the pineal gland, and then it becomes a awakening, a consciousness breach, a breach of consciousness to another level, also called a Christ consciousness, or becoming anointed, becoming a Christ. It's called Christos oil, and Christos translated to English means Christ. You guys ever notice how in the Bible they tell Jesus didn't start his ministry until he was 30? He didn't, he was always there, but he didn't go down the path of ministering until he was 30. There's a process of the Kundalini energy rising throughout your consciousness until it peaks at the pineal, where you become the anointed one, where you become aware, the awareness of God within yourself, the awareness of the spirit within you. That's when you become to your highest consciousness, your God consciousness, the Christ consciousness. The Christos oil goes and crystallizes into your pineal, and you perceive things differently. You perceive the world and the universe as yourself, as above, so below, as without, as within, as within, as without, differently. You become the anointed one. And so there's even talks about this, say like Psalms 82:6, for example, when they questioned Jesus and they said that he was making himself equal to God. And he told them, ye are God's sons, children of the Most High. He never separated himself from other people. He never told other people that they're beneath him or that he's the special one. He told them, I believe God is within me. God is with me and within me, and God is also with you as well. I may be a son of God, but you are also a son of God and daughter of God. You are also a child of God. You just have to realize it. You have to become anointed. You have to anoint yourself with the Christos oil to get to your pineal. This awakening of consciousness, the awareness, and that's really as simple as I can make it. Is when you realize you're not just living in a world of just plain things. You're living in a world full of deep spiritual things. And once you connect to the spirit, this life force behind everything, and this life force behind everything is God. This life force, God, is behind all forces of life. When you understand this, that everything is connected and everything is one, where we all are in one ecosystem, you destroy the ego feeling you're above the system. Because there's no above the system, it's an ecosystem. There is such thing as a butterfly effect, where we have our drops in this collective consciousness, this ocean of collective consciousness, where we have the butterfly effect and we make our waves throughout, resonance to other people's consciousness, and we can download and upload information to others off this net of consciousness. But that's the ecosystem. So when you see things from your own soul, basically, you understand this is an ecosystem of collective consciousness that people have been downloading the vibrations from your perspective. We upload information constantly. We're all connected. All of our minds are connected. All of them. And so when we have the thought, there's actually the thing they call it, some people call it, what is it? That Akashic records, when all our thoughts are being uploaded to this collective consciousness. There's so many different ways you can interpret it, because it's omnipotent, it's omnipresent, where each perception is, it's the same thing in different words. The Akashic records, collective consciousness, etc. Where basically this is what, a lot of people have called the Christ consciousness, where it's always been prophesied as Christ's return, right? Jesus' return. And so when they say Christ's return, remember I said Christ is the anointment. Christ is the title. And so when they say the Christ returns, the Christ is returning, that means the anointment, the awareness, the God consciousness is returning. Jesus was himself. He was himself, his soul being. But the Christ, the title of Christ, the anointment, has been returning. Why you think, just look at society. Look how many people are spiritual nowadays compared to the 1960s or the 1950s. Compare how many people are spiritually awakened compared to just 50 years ago. People back then were just working in factories and just working in a factory for their life and called it quits. So at 65, they didn't care about that. They accepted things for what they were. They didn't question anything. Think how many people are tapping into their spirit now. And even if they don't believe in Jesus or Christianity, that's what I mean. It's a Christ consciousness. Remember I said Christ, it's not tied to Christianity, because Christ is the anointment. It's tied to everything. Like I said, people even in Hindus call it the Kundalini energy, the rising serpent energy that rises throughout the 33 vertebrae. And even right there, I could go into that, is Jesus, Yeshua, was crucified at 33 years old. And then after that, he became his highest self, his omnipotent self, the king of the heavens, the king of all the angels. He became this highest self that he could. His earthly mission was finished, and he began his heavenly mission of being there for all of humanity, right? So that happened at 33. In the same way that his true purpose, his highest destiny, his highest purpose began at 33, is the same way you can interpret the Christos oil at the base of the spine. At the 33 vertebrae, it becomes the highest potency in the pineal gland. So say it gets to the 33 vertebrae, then it gets to the pineal, then we become fully awakened. We become our God self. Same way as Jesus became his God self at 33 years old. You have to, I'm not saying that he was crucified at 33. I'm saying it's multi-meaning, it's multi-dimensional. You have to understand the complexities of how intricately this thing is, the spirituality, everything is designed. Because the thing about God is, God is such an omnipotent master architect. Everything that we see has been so divinely like I'm trying to think of it's been so complexly designed that sometimes when we try to understand these things, it kind of blows our mind, because everything has something behind it. Everything has been designed from something. Everything's come from something. And so what I mean by this Christos oil are awakening. People are awakening. This Christos oil, this Kundalini energy is rising within multiple people, and it's spreading throughout the world, where multiple people are awakening to this and spreading their light. And that's another thing. Even in the Bible, the book of Revelations mentions about the 144,000. I want to get into that as well. Whether it be the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, etc. You have to come from a place of spirit. You can't separate religion and spirituality, because to understand religion, you have to have a spirit to even interpret it. And so about the book of Revelations and the 144,000, right? It says there's 144,000 waiting in the presence of God to be finally being entered into the kingdom of heaven, right? And they've basically been talked about as they've been waiting for a while. They already got their seat. They already got their seat in heaven, but they're awaiting their entrance, right? And so you got to think, well, why the 144,000? Obviously, if time is omnipotent from the past to the present, future, say like in today's era, there's what they say 7 or 8, 9, whatever billion people, right? Compare 144,000 out of them. That's a very small fraction, right? And so this is where it gets complex. So say God, he has a mission. He knows how things are going to play. He has a mission for time and for humanity, right? And he has a select amount of people that he know will follow his way to get things done throughout all the years until, the promised day, right? So he has these people, he's like these souls, these very intricate design souls from his soul that he designs that will be on earth until the day comes, that day comes. And so he keeps them there lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime to guide people into the kingdom of heaven, right? He keeps them there. He keeps them there, even though they struggle, they lose their memories, they struggle, but they always find their way to him in different ways each time, right? And so they realize that, remember I told you the Christos oil, as the Christos oil at the base of the spine, as it rises to the pineal gland, that's when we become our highest self, our God self, our awakening, our remembrance of who we are. We remember who we are, the God within us, the Holy Spirit. So when each time one of these 144,000 gets that Christos oil to the pineal and they become the Christ, they remember who they are. It's an epiphany. It's an epiphany of remembrance. And so they remember. They may not remember. I'm not saying they remember their past lives and everything, but they remember who they come from. They remember God. Like I'm saying, you will live a whole life, and then once this epiphany happens, your whole perception and thought consciousness changes, and you live life differently based on a different code of life, really. You live life differently than you did before, because you're living basically in a whole different soul within your body. Not even a whole different soul, you've awakened your soul in a way. The 144,000, when they become anointed, they awaken their soul. They awaken their true purpose. Just as simply as I said, Jesus, for example, he worked as a carpenter in his early life. Jesus himself became anointed. He wasn't aware himself. Yeshua, he became anointed, and then he was working a carpenter, and then he was anointed. Then he realized, why am I a carpenter? What am I doing being a carpenter? There is so much to do. I have to fulfill my Father's purpose. I have to fulfill my purpose here on earth. Why should I'm not working as a carpenter. It's the same way as like I can say, why would I be working at McDonald's when there's so much to be done? There's so much light to spread. Why would I work here when I have to get this message out there? Why would I do this when I have to get this message across? It's the same thing. Why would I work as a carpenter when I have to spread this ministry, this message, this light that needs to be spread throughout the world, this message that needs to go out the world? I'm done being a carpenter. And then he was anointed. His Christos oil hit his pineal. He realized he was a son of God. He was a SOG, a child of God. He remembered his pineal awakened. I'm a child of God. I have to fulfill this mission. The Spirit was working within him, and that's why he always credited things through his Father. He even told people not to praise him, praise the Father. It's through the Father, it's through the Spirit. Don't bow to my feet, praise the Father. This is through him. All these things are done through me, through my Father. And what I'm trying to tell you is, you have to understand Psalms 82:6. When they questioned him about him making himself equal to God, he said, "Ye are God's children of the Most High. I'm no different than you. All things are through the Father, not through me. So you can do it as well if you believe in the Father. You have faith, you can do exactly what I'm doing. I'm no different than you. I'm no different than you. So he's telling these people, you can do the same things if you have the same faith. If you believe God is within you, you can be as like me. I'm no different. I'm in flesh as you. I'm in flesh as you. God is within me as he is within you. We are all children of God. We can all do this together. We can all do this. But see, the thing is, 2,000 years ago in Israel, the churches controlled the government. They controlled the lands. And so when they got this guy from Nazareth going around, and the thing about Nazareth, you can compare Nazareth to like Chicago, Southside Chicago, or Los Angeles, or, really one of the most violent cities you could think of. You compare Nazareth to that. So you got this highly, highly spiritual, enlightened, wise being going around the most violent cities, preaching love, faith, and wisdom. And he's saying it's all from God. And so the church has become aware of this. Like, who is this man? Who does he think he is? And he's saying he's doing miracles. He's saving people. He's walking on water. Who is this man? This must be something. No, this can't be right. This can't be right. And then he's not obeying to them. He's not bowing down to them, because he says, I bow to no man. No man has power over me. The Father has power over me. No man has power over me. My Father gives me this power. You have no power over me. So he doesn't bow to them, and they envy him even more for that, because he's not conforming to their rules and their regulations. And the funny thing about it is he was fulfilling prophecies that they made for hundreds of years, but he wasn't doing it in the ways that they wanted him to. He drank wine. They didn't like him drinking wine. He did miracles on Sunday, on the Sabbath day. They didn't like that. They didn't like that he did that. No, it's Saturday. My fault. Saturday, the Sabbath day. He did miracles on Saturday. They didn't like that. They questioned him constantly. Who do you think you are? I do this to my Father. I do this to my Father God. And so, like I said, they controlled the government. The churches controlled that. The Jews, the Jews at the time. So they didn't like that. They didn't like that. He was a Jew himself, and he was able to do all these things that they prophesied about, but he wasn't doing it in their standards. So they hated him for it. And here's another thing people don't realize is Jesus was on the run. He was on the run from them as he was traveling. And see, this is a very interesting thing I'm about to get to. As they used to say, Jesus was the son of David, right? Isn't it very interesting how the story of David goes, how David was on the run from Saul, and Jesus was also on the run from the government, the authorities. People don't really pay attention to that part, but Jesus was on the run from the authorities, because he was performing miracles, and they were looking for him because he was performing these miracles in the name of God. And they basically thought they controlled God. No, they feel like no one can claim God's name without their approval, right? So when he was doing these things, they wanted to control over him, and he refused to give them the control and conform to them. So they were looking for him. So when he would go from town to town performing these miracles and these great things, these great feats, he would tell people, don't tell anybody about it. Don't tell people I'm here. Don't tell nobody I'm here. Don't spread a word of this. Don't spread a word of this. But they would anyways. A man going around doing all these great things. People were going around town. The Messiah is here. Yeshua is here. Yeshua is here. The Christ is here. They can't help themselves because they heard what he'd done in other towns. And so when he would go to these towns and these miracles would be performed, people would, get working around, and the authorities of that church would go looking for him. Then he would already be somewhere else. He was on the run. And then he would go other places and do, even though he knew they were looking for him, that didn't stop him from getting his mission done. He knew everybody was against him, trying to stop him from spreading his love and his light. But he still kept going. He still kept going. He wasn't threatened by it. He didn't feel no threat by it. He still kept going. Even when they told, or even in the future, when they told his disciples, when they locked his disciples up and they locked all his followers up and told them to stop spreading his message, they still kept doing it in reflection of what he kept doing. He was on the run from them, still kept spreading his message. And then eventually, he was betrayed. But I don't need to explain all that to you. You guys already know all that. That's already in the Bible. What I'm trying to explain is to you is the reason they envied him the most is because he did all the things to his Father, and he told people that they could do it as well. Like God was in everybody. He was trying to awaken people. He was trying to awaken people to get to the level he was on. They called him the shepherd, the good shepherd, the shepherd to the flock. He wants his sheep to grow and to become like him. That's why I kind of never what is that one book called? The 48 Laws of Power or something, where they say some BS like, never outshine the master, because that's BS. See, Jesus, the master, he wanted his students, his flock to become like him. So the word of God, the light could spread everywhere. What's the point of teaching a class a lesson if they won't one day teach other people what they learn? What's the point of teaching someone something if one day they won't grow to teach someone else? So that message that you gave them could get to other people. If you're teaching someone a message, the obvious goal is to get the message to as many people as possible. If it's a message you're very passionate about, that's what I would say is correct. If it's a message that's very passionate, I would say a message from God, your Father, would be the most passionate message ever. So if it's a message that's that passionate, wouldn't you want that to be to everywhere, from everyone? And so the best way a person would be able to interpret it is to become like the person that taught it to him, 100% alike. And that's what he was teaching. But they were threatened by that. He was going around threatening their system that they had in place. The Jews had a very intricate system that they had in place for the people of Israel. They had a very intricate system of how they had order over things. And Yeshua, Jesus, threatened all of that. He threatened all of it because he knew the truth behind all of it. He knew the truth behind all of it. He knew the truth. That's why when he went to Jerusalem, he flipped tables over like, what are y'all doing? This ain't, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? You're selling? What are y'all doing? This ain't y'all. He told people, don't believe all them words they be saying in them churches because they don't mean that. They don't mean all that. They don't know what they're saying. They don't believe in all that. They saying all this in all these big churches. They don't mean all that. They kicked him out of churches. They rejected him. They hated him because he was the truth and they was the lie. And the lie was working for many people. The lie was working and deceiving many people. A lot of people were deceived by the lies the Jews were telling people in Israel back then. And here comes Jesus telling everybody, y'all been duped. Y'all been lied to by these people in these big churches and these big garments and these fancy clothes and all this. Y'all been lied to. I'm trying to tell y'all. So they was threatened by him. But he wasn't threatened by them. That's the thing. And they wanted them to be. They wanted him to feel threatened. They wanted him to stop that message that he was giving to people. They were envious of him. They were envious of the power he had. And the crazy thing is they had the power as well, but they didn't realize it. And that's the thing about jealousy and envy. A lot of things people are jealous and envy of, they could get as well, or they already have, but they just don't realize it. They just don't realize it. It just never makes sense. And so they constructed a plan to find him and eliminate him in the most painful and excruciating way as possible. And so, as the story goes on, they arrested him. And this is another subject I want to get into, because I seem to think this is a common belief in Christianity today. And before I even get into this, it makes me think about something I saw earlier where they'd be like, wouldn't it be crazy if Jesus came back, right? Single Jesus himself came back and even Christians didn't accept him the same way the Jews didn't accept him back then? It would be interesting because a lot of people have this false belief that Jesus willingly went on that cross. Like he just willingly wanted to die on that cross. Isn't that, see, the thing is, this is something they leave out the Bible, is Jesus spoke against, this is one thing he spoke against the Jews about animal sacrifices. He told the Jews about animal sacrifices, that God didn't need an animal sacrifice. God does not need you to slice blood over for killing animals, because Jesus believed in love of all life. He believed in love and everything, and loved of all life, love everything, because life is God. Godly is life. Life is in everything. You should cherish every single thing of life. The ants on the ground, the worms, the birds, the trees. You cherish all life. He talked against slicing and slaying and sacrificing animals, because the Jews did do that. He talked against that. So why would a man that talks against animal sacrifices just willingly go on the cross and sacrifice himself? See, that's the thing. These Jews in the Vatican have misinterpreted this, not misinterpreted, have completely changed the message that he was teaching. When the term Jesus saves us from our lower selves. There's a duality to man. There's a duality. There's a higher self and a lower self. There's a godly self and a human self. There's a higher godly self and a lower human self. And the lower human self goes into the abyss. The deepest depths of the abyss is where the human is. That's why we're physical flesh, while the godly self is spirit. Godly higher vibrations of spirit. It's not even physical. What makes us human is our lower vibrations, which makes us physical flesh. And see, the thing about Jesus, his message was to save us from our lower selves, to realize the God within us. That's what makes him a son of God and makes us child of God, is the God within us. So his message was to save us, to realize God is within us so we can live our life in the most highest vibrational way. So his mission was to save us from our own selves, to save us to realize who we were, to walk the path of God just as he did. That was the meaning of Jesus saved, not dying on a cross. He died on the cross because they hated him for who he was. They conspired against him. They even put the part in the Bible where he said, my message has to get across, but whoever shall betrays me, what he said to Judas, that wasn't part of the plan. Being betrayed and being crucified wasn't a part of the plan of his message. But they knew they fucked up. They knew they did something bad when they did that. So they tried to change the message, he had to die. Oh, he was the Lamb of God. He was the sacrifice of God. He was the Lamb. He even then when he was being arrested, he was like, what is going on? He didn't just, come on, arrest me, come on, let's go. No, that's not how it went. No. He didn't just say, let's go, put me on the cross. No, that's not how it went. Even when his disciples put out a sword and sliced their motherfucking ear off, bro. Like, who the fuck y'all think y'all touching Yeshua for? He sliced their ear off. And he's like, it's cool. He basically like, you know what? It is what it is. He just accepted it. Like, it is what it is, bro. Betrayed me. It's cool. It's cool. They want to do this. They ain't going to stop nothing, though. Like, they want to, all right, bet. Like, he ain't just accepted. Like, let's go. He basically seen the situation for what it was. He was already on the run for so long, and he was betrayed, so he just accepted the situation like it is what it is. If this is how it's going to be, they ain't going to stop the message anyway. Like, it is what it is, but this message ain't going to end right here with me. Like, they want to kill me, but it ain't going to stop right here. I guarantee you that my message is going to live on forever. That's the attitude he had. That's the attitude he had. And so he said, put your sword down. It's cool. Don't live by that sword. You're going to die by that sword. You cool. You don't need to end the life. It's cool. It's cool. Don't put the sword down. So they took him. And then they put him on the cross and all that. Because they were envious. They wanted to torture him, pierced his body, all that. Left him near the hand. All that. It was jealous of him. And so then, hundreds or whatever time later, they realized, snap. This guy's message is spreading throughout the world. What is going on? We thought we would end it. I thought if we crucified him, that would have been the end of him. Oh my, people are talking about this still? Wow. Oh, we got to do something about this. This guy, they're having their meetings like, this guy's message is still getting around. I thought that would have been the end of it, but people are still talking about him. We gotta, if we don't change this message of this guy, we're going to look like the enemies of the world. We're going to look like the bad guys. Like, we literally killed the Son of God. We're going to look like evil. So we got to change the message. We got to tell people he had to die. We got to tell people he wanted to die. We got to tell people that he died for everybody. We got to change the message. We got to tell people that he had to die. Like, we had to kill him for God. We had to sacrifice him for the God. He was the Lamb of God. He had to die. And then we should be good. No one should hate us then. Just like that. Altered the message just like that. It's like that. Because that message, then that's when, how the story goes with Constantine. Constantine converts to Christianity. Then that's when he kind of takes over it because he sees it's growing. He sees Christianity is growing. He sees it's growing throughout all that part of the land. So he sees it. And see, this is the thing about power, right? If you see an opposing force and you can't beat it, you got two options, right? You either submit to it or you try to take control over it. Because you can't end it, you can't beat it. So you either submit to it or try to take control over it. And that's what happened with the Romans. That's what happened with the Romans and Christianity, with the Vatican and Constantine. So Constantine seeing Christianity was spreading. And he's like, you know what? This is a growing belief. I don't think I can stop this. So, I'm going to try to take control of this and change the message where it benefits our people and benefits us to be able to control. So they changed the whole message up. They changed everything they wanted. They took books out of the Bible. They took many books out of the Bible, the New Testament. They took many things out of it and put many things into it that conformed to them, and it gave them an advantage over people. And then they basically took the original message of Yeshua, put it all together in their own way, and then they spread it throughout the world. They distributed it. They were distributors, like a record label or some BS. Changing the music around, changing the gospel around for their way. And then, so the world, hundreds and thousands of years later is getting this different message of Christianity, and not to mention all the crusades and all the death and all the rape and all the shit they did in Jesus' name and the name of Christ, all the evil they done, just tainting. That's another crazy thing mentioned in the Bible. And he says, I never knew you. When they say, oh God, it's me, and he says, I never knew you. people are doing all this evil stuff in the name of God, in the name of Christ, and he doesn't know you. No, that's not it. All the murders and crusades done, no. That's why people hate Christians to this day, because all the evil that was done in the name of Christianity, not in the name of Jesus, but in Christianity, the people that flock to it. Because most of the people in today's day are not real Christians. Most of the people in today's day are not real Christians. They read the Bible, go to church, but they don't understand the message, because I said they don't speak from spirit. They speaking from looking at it with their 2 eyes, but they ain't got a spirit to really interpret it. They ain't got a spirit to be able to decipher the messages in the Bible, because the spirit ain't resonating with them, because they ain't got it in them. So they're not real Christians. They even go into parts where people go all over talking about, oh yeah, holy, 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 and be full of hate and be doing the most evil shit. And that's something Jesus talked about himself. But the people in churches, like, watch them people in churches with all them big words and all them prayers in public and all that, because they don't mean all that. These people nowadays be saying they Christian and be doing the most evil stuff, bro. Be doing the most wicked stuff and then try to make it seem like they Christian, or try to justify their evil things by saying, oh, God told them that it's okay. Like, God said it's cool. I'm a Christian. I can do this. Like, no, bro. He don't know you. He said that. I don't know you. I don't know you. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, the original message was tainted and then distributed it. It was tainted because they saw how powerful it was. They saw the potency of Yeshua's real message. And so they couldn't contain it. So they tried to control it. And which they took control of. The Vatican did take control over it. Crazy thing is, when you think of Christianity, most people think of the Pope or Rome. Ain't that crazy how it started in Israel? And then when people think of Christianity, they think of the Pope or some shit. They don't even think of Jesus sometimes. They think of the Pope or all this and the bishops and the Pope and all that. Because they hijacked Christianity, they hijacked the message to change it for their own comfort, because they didn't want the real message to be out there to people. They hijacked it. Then they, not to mention the whitewashing of Jesus, the whitewashing to make him to look like Caesar, the whitewashing, crazy. That's another thing I get into. People be like, oh, Jesus wasn't black. Jesus wasn't black. And people realize that the Hebrew Israelites came from Egypt. They came from Egypt, which is part of Africa. I mean, it's right there in Exodus that the Israelites, they, through Moses, they came from Egypt. They came from Africa. And they originated there, So, and I could get into how they keep saying, oh, Egyptians are anything black. Egyptians. There's Arabs there that invaded Egypt now. The modern people in Egypt are not the ancient Egyptians. Why do you think they're just randomly digging up all these sarcophagus? Like, let's just dig up our ancestors that we love and hold so dear to our spirituality. I mean, wouldn't digging up people's graves, wouldn't that seem like something some outsiders would do? Why would people of their own land descendants just dig up their ancestors, bro? I'm not going to get too much off subject, but yeah, so I wanted to get into how people keep saying the ancient Egyptians weren't black when they were brown, very brown, probably even darker than me. So, yeah, but yeah, I wanted to say that to let you know that the ancient Hebrews, the real Hebrews, they were this color. They were this color. They weren't this color. Ancient Hebrews weren't this color right here. They were this color. They were darker. They were dark. And through invasion and all types of mixed breeding from all different types of lands, they lost the melanin, as you know how that goes. Same thing with Egypt, how they were invaded and then the Arabs took over Egypt and, they became lighter, and now the ancient Egyptians have all been, whatever. But, yeah, so they whitewashed Yeshua. They whitewashed him. They tainted the message, and then now they're spreading this tainted message throughout the world, and now people are despising Christianity because they feel like, because when they hear about it, they hear about how people try to force it on them, or they condemn other people that don't believe in it. And see, the crazy thing is, right? This is another interesting thing, right? Even Yeshua himself, Jesus himself, went outside of Israel and taught to other people. He went outside the people. And ain't that the funny part? The people outside of Israel accepted his message more than his own people, the Jews. Ain't that something? The people that weren't even Jews accepted his message more than the own Jews. His own people hated him. You know what that term? It be your own people. That's where that come from, bro. It be your own people, bro. It be your own people. He went outside of Israel. Everybody accepted the message. They understood. But his own people was hating on him, rejected him. His own people. Ain't that something? that something? So you can't, you have to understand that this original message that was going on, you have to understand it through spirit. And what I mean, you have to understand it through spirit, you have to be anointed yourself. And the way you anoint yourself is by listening to your inner self, listening to your higher self, listening to God within you, understanding you are a son of God as well, understanding you are a child of God as well, understanding you can be anointed as well. You can be and you will be anointed as well. You are a child of God as well. That's the original message. You shall ascend as well. You shall transcend as well. You are God as well. God is within you as well. You are Elohim as well. You are not a little just piece of crap. You are not this spectacle of human flesh moving throughout the galaxy billions of years. That doesn't matter. No, you are special. You are godly. You are divine. Know your purpose. God is within you. Don't believe all this BS, all this heresy in the media, all this atheism, and that's all this message, all this Illuminati BS that's trying to knock off the message. You are godly. And that was his original message. We are godly and we need to rise back to our highest selves. We need to get back to our highest vibrations. We need to become back to who we are. We need to return back to our highest light, We should not keep stooping lower and lower and becoming more dense. We need to go back higher because we're going down a lower path. And as time has been going on, it seems that humanity just keeps going lower. I ain't gonna lie. Like how they talk about, the end of days and whatnot, and you see the signs and the prophecies and whatnot. It's definitely been seen like, because there's been some crazy wickedness happening. It's crazy, just unbelievable, weird things that's been going on throughout the world. And it's all been prophesied. That's the crazy thing. It's just been weird things. Like he said, no one knows the day, no one knows the hour. Not even the angels, not even the nine. The nine doesn't even know the nine. I'm not saying the nine, I mean the nine hierarchy of the angels. From the guardian angels to the seraphim. Nobody knows, not even them. And those are God's right hand right there. They don't even know. So I thought that was kind of funny, the other day when those people were talking about the rapture was scheduled. Like, I don't know if that was a joke, but that was just another thing that makes people mock Christians. Oh, the rapture is just like, yeah, everyone's the rapture is just like, oh, the rapture, yeah. That's what makes people clown Christians, because they're not real Christians, bro. And that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of like a paradox. Like, people clown Christians, but they're not really Christians. They're like so-called Christians. So they're not really clowning Christians. They're just clowning these wannabes, which is a lot of them. A lot of them are everywhere. It's just crazy. I think that's about it that I really just wanted to talk about. I turned off the comments because I know how people can be on these lives, and I ain't want none of that BS to even throw off the message. But before I end this, I just do want to wrap this up by saying that the truth from the beginning was that we are godly. God resides within us. That's the Holy Trinity. The Father, the Son, the Spirit. The Father is God. The Son is you. The Spirit is God within you. Once you realize this, that's the anointment. That's when you become anointed. When you realize the Holy Trinity, boom, 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 you realize it. That's the anointment. When you realize God is within you. God is with you in all things. He's with you. He's in you. He's you. God is you. You are God. God is within you. So be like that. Act like it. Act according to your highest self. It's easy to slip off your path and become lower vibrational than you are, because we are still in physical, dense flesh. So we are still in this flesh for now. But the Spirit resides within us. The Spirit reigns over us. So it's always not hard to be one with your highest self, one with God. And when I say one with God, I don't mean you got to just go out, preaching everybody, but do all things you do with love in the highest vibrational intent. Don't give in to the temptations of hate and all types of BS. Always do what you can do in the highest intent and the best intent. And that's that. Live your life. I'm not saying live your life, do this, do that. I'm saying live your life, your path with the highest intent, with the best intent for everybody, yourself and everybody around you. And when I say everybody around you, I mean earth, the life, the animals, the people, the places, the things, everybody with the best and the most loving intent. And that's all it is to it. That's all there is to it. Just love yourself and love the world and love everybody. Love everything. Be full of love. Don't be full of hate. Don't be full of hate, because hate is the exact opposite of the passion. It's a spectrum to the passion. There's love and then there's hate. It's still equal energy. It's passion. You can love something just as equal you can hate something. So, but be filled with love. because there's already enough wickedness going on. There's already enough hate and destruction going on. That's what they want. That's what the other side is keeping in place. That's what the other side is making sure is happening, with all the destruction and violence and hate. That's why it is only 144,000, because it's kind of outnumbered on this planet. So that's why he needs us even more. That's why we need it even more. That's why the children of God need it even more. That's why the sons of God and the daughters of God, child of God, need it even more. Because these people are trying to keep the world in this wickedness. These people are trying to keep the world in this darkness and trying to keep it numb. Just how the same way they tried when they crucified Yeshua. They wanted to keep the world in the darkness, so they crucified him. But we can't stop. We can't stop. The message has to keep going. The love has to keep going until it's over. Because like he said, one day the earth and the heavens going to be gone. It's all going to be gone one day, and something new is going to start after that. And until then, we got to keep going. Because if you listen to this right now, you must be in the synchronicity, in the knowing. You must be in the know. If you even hearing these words right now, you in the knowing of some way. Your consciousness has been attracted to these words right here, right now. So you're not just some random person that just heard this coincidentally. You're in the knowing of some way. So if you hearing this right now, I'm telling you, always be your higher self. And your higher self is God. Remember that. Remember that. That's all I got to say. Thank you for listening.